How to build business credit without using personal credit. So you've made the plunge. You're an entrepreneur now. You've decided to go forward with starting your very own business. And your question is, and it's a really good question, is how do I build out my business credit and get business funding without using my personal credit? Now, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. In this episode, we're going to discuss the importance of building business credit separate from your personal credit. Next, we'll discuss steps to get your business up and running. And then finally, I'm going to discuss how to actually start building business credit, and I'm going to give you some actual accounts that if you set up your business properly, you'll be able to utilize right away. So the first question that you might be asking yourself is, how important is business credit? And you may think that that's quite an obvious answer, and the reality is that business credit is insanely important for businesses. And the reality is that most businesses don't ever utilize business credit. What they do instead is they fully utilize their personal credit. Now, to differentiate, realize that personal credit was never, ever designed to support a business. Establishing business credit actually improves your credibility as a business. And the reason is because as they're pulling your credit, they don't see anything that's been established on the business side of things. In terms of funding, the amount of funding that you can get on the business side as opposed to the personal side of credit is extraordinary. And I'm talking about 10 to 100, maybe even more than that in terms of funding. As an example, on the personal credit side of things, to be able to get a credit card where you get a $5,000 limit or a $10,000 limit would be considered, rather large. On the business side of things, it's entirely common for somebody to get a $50,000 credit card or a $100,000 credit card. And my clients ask me this all the time. They say, well, how is that even possible? Why is that so common on the business side of things? Well, on the business side of things, on business credit, these creditors understand that you're trying to float a business, probably a 6 or 7 or an 8-figure business. They understand that you need very, very large limits to support these businesses. Unlike the personal credit side of things, where you get penalized for utilizing your credit cards and utilizing credit, makes your scores tank, on the business side of things, you actually don't get penalized at all for using the credit that you've been given by these creditors. In fact, they encourage you to use the credit that you've been given by creditors. On the personal credit side of things, there's a lot of different metrics that make up your personal credit score. On the business side of things, they're interested in one thing and one thing only. Do you pay your bills on time? Do you pay your bills before they're due? That's it. You're going to score an 80 if you pay your bills on time on your paydex score. It's going to be higher than that if you pay before it's actually due. Now, before you go building out business credit, we have to do some preliminary steps. And one of those is going to be to build out your business entity. Now, you might need some help from an attorney to decide how you want to set up your specific entity. Most people just set themselves up as an LLC. And the reason for that is because an LLC actually gives you separation from your personal situation. Now, I can't tell you how important that is to separate your business from your personal. So this LLC gives us the ability to have a separate entity that has its own life that's completely separate from you. Now, that's important because as you begin to build out business credit and as you begin to do business, if something happens to the business, you're not going to be personally on the hook for whatever happens. As an example, let's say that you are a contractor. And let's say that you help build houses as an example. And something happens and you get sued because of the job that you did. Maybe your fault, may not be your fault. If you're set up correctly as an LLC, they can't touch your personal situation. They have to go after your actual company, which is going to be separate from you. While we're keeping everything separate, you want to make sure that you keep your expenses separate also. You want to make sure that the money is separate, the expenses are separate from your personal, everything is divided separately. If there's not a clean line of what's yours and what's the business, it doesn't necessarily help you if there's a liability issue. Now, in terms of getting everything set up, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can certainly do it yourself. You can file the appropriate paperwork. You can go to the Secretary of State in your state. You can cross-check names of your company to make sure it's not taken. You can complete a couple of other steps to form your own entity. And a lot of people do that. Me, myself, there's plenty of services out there to use, and I've used, and I certainly still use, a company called LegalZoom. LegalZoom is very wide known in the industry, in the space. There's plenty of other companies that do the same thing. Charge you a couple $100, they get everything set up for you. It's cross-checked by an attorney. You don't have to worry about, am I doing this correctly? Because if you don't do it correctly, then again, we don't have that clear separation from business to personal. Now remember, when you're setting up your company, you want to make sure that you have a business address, you have a business phone number. Let me repeat that. You want to make sure you have a business address and a business phone number. One of the biggest things I see from my business clients is that they inadvertently make mistakes. They'll use their home address as their business address because they work from home. Or they'll use their cell phone as their business phone line instead of an actual business phone line. The problem with this is that when it comes to getting credit in your business name, the creditors are going to do a lot of automatic checks. They understand that a vast majority of people that create businesses will not see profit. And of those that see profit, a vast majority will go out of business within 5 years. So they are looking for a reason, just looking for a reason to deny you. So we've got to have all of our T's crossed, all of our I's dotted to make sure that everything matches up, everything looks good, so that when our creditors pull our credit, there's no discrepancies for us to get denied. Many people get denied for business credit, and it's not what they think it is. They think they got denied for some reason. My company's not big enough, I don't have enough sales, all kinds of different reasons. And it might just be a simple reason like, you don't have a business address that's not attached to your home address, right? Well, people say, I work from home, or maybe I'm a realtor and I work from home. Well, you can still get a virtual address. They're all over the internet. They'll even scan in your mail and email it to you. You don't actually have to show up, but at least have your business address be a virtual address. Also, there's plenty of voice over IP phone systems from the internet where you can get an actual business line that's bona fide. While you're getting that business line from one of these companies, when you get that business line, make sure that you list that information with 411. Make sure you list your phone line. The reason a lot of creditors are going to check, for them, again, you're not a bona fide business unless your phone number is a business phone line and listed with 411. There's a ton of other metrics when it comes to building out the proper foundation for your company to get business credit. Lots and lots of them. I don't have time to talk about it in this video, but I will in future videos. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be working hard to bringing you videos over business credit, business funding, personal credit, and finance each and every week. Now that you've got everything set up, the very next thing that you want to do is you want to go to Dun & Bradstreet and you want to apply for your DUNS number. And the reason for this is because Dun & Bradstreet is going to be one of the biggest business credit bureaus. You're going to want to establish an account with them. That way, when you begin to establish business credit, it gets reported. Let me remind you that a vast majority of business creditors do not report to the business credit bureaus. Let me repeat that. They do not report to the business credit bureaus. You need to make sure that it's being reported. Otherwise, essentially, you're not building business credit. You're getting credit, you're establishing credit with that specific company, but nobody else can see that you're legitimate. Your very next step is you want to get a business bank account. And there's a lot of different resources on the best business bank account for you. You can use a big box financial institution like Bank of America or Chase. And there's plenty of online financial institutions that will give you a business bank account. Why is that important? Because creditors can see if you have a business bank account. And odds are, as you begin to build your business credit out, they're going to not only want to see that you have a business bank account, but they're going to want to see business statements of that checking account. So having a business checking account is entirely important. I can't tell you how many of my clients are using their personal checking account to run their business. Again, this violates that separation that we were talking about earlier. Okay, now that you've got everything set up, it's go time. It's time to start building business credit. Your first step, just the beginning, is going to be to start applying for vendor accounts. Your vendor accounts are going to be net 30, net 60 type accounts where you can get all of your office supplies. I'm talking about video equipment, computers, desks, paper, and just hundreds and hundreds of other products. That's the way you're going to establish your business credit. There's a couple of companies that I can recommend. I can recommend Uline, I can recommend Granger, I can recommend Quill. I've used all three companies. The beautiful thing is once you start buying from these companies, usually within 60 to 90 days, they're going to start reporting to the business credit bureaus and you're going to pull a score. After you verify that these vendor accounts have actually hit your credit, the very next step is to continue to build your business credit. And the way that I'm going to recommend you do that is you do it with gas cards. There's 3 different gas cards that I recommend that do not require a personal guarantee in order to secure these cards. The first one's going to be TA Petro. The second one is going to be Quick Trip. And the final one is going to be Road Flex. All 3 of those creditors do not require a personal guarantee, and you can get your gas card. Now, why is this important? Because now we've established our solid foundation with our vendor accounts, and now we're upping the level to gas cards. And guess what? After that's done, there's several other creditors, including high limit revolving cards, cash cards. You can get vehicles on your business credit. There is so much opportunity in the business credit world for you to help grow your business and also to fund your business. I have a special gift for you. In the link in the description, there's going to be a 4-step guide for you to build your business credit. It's going to give you all the secrets on how to build out your business credit. Once you receive your 4-step guide, feel free to respond to the emails that you'll receive if you want to do a full-on business consultation to help you grow your business credit and get the funding that you need for your business.